The bottom of the North Atlantic Ocean is a place where time seems to have stopped under the weight of millennia of sediments and incalculable pressures. At about 3,800 meters deep, on an abyssal plain that stretches like a desert of mud and oxidized metal, rests the RMS Titanic. This ocean liner, shipwrecked in 1912, remained for more than a century as the sole protagonist of the legends of that specific area of the trench. However, in June 2023, history took a macabre and technological turn. An exploration submarine, in its attempt to approach the past glories of the White Star Line giant, ended up becoming an unknown and ultra-modern shipwreck situated just 500 meters from the original wreck. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. Let us begin. What was initially reported with global anticipation as the discovery of signs of an unknown shipwreck near the Titanic was soon revealed to be evidence of a catastrophic implosion that instantly ended the lives of 5 people aboard the submersible Titan. This event did not reveal a new intact compartment of the Titanic, nor a hidden treasure among its remains. Instead, it brutally exposed the vulnerability of human technology and the arrogance of innovation without protocols in the face of the most elemental and implacable forces of nature. On the morning of June 18, 2023, in relatively calm high seas, the 5-passenger submersible Titan, operated by the controversial company OceanGate Expeditions, began its descent from the mothership platform Polar Prince. The journey, sold as an extreme tourism and elite exploration experience, carried aboard a singular group. Stockton Rush, the CEO of the company and firm defender of its experimental design. Paul-Henri Nargeolet, a respected French explorer and Titanic expert. Hamish Harding, an influential British businessman and adventurer, and prominent Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood along with his young son Suleiman Dawood. Their destination was the bow of the Titanic, the most iconic point of the shipwreck, located about 640 kilometers southeast of the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. The descent to those depths is more than a simple vertical journey. It is an incursion through the layers of the ocean into the midnight zone or bathypelagic zone, where sunlight does not penetrate. At 3,800 meters, hydrostatic pressure becomes the dominant force of the environment. This pressure is approximately 5,600 pounds per square inch, psi, equivalent to about 390 times the atmospheric pressure we experience at sea level. To put it in perspective, it is as if an adult elephant were standing on every square inch of the hull. It is an environment where the slightest structural defect, the smallest micro crack in the material or a failure in the ceiling, is magnified exponentially until it becomes a catastrophic and irreversible failure. Approximately 90 minutes after beginning the immersion, the Titan lost all telemetry and communication contact with the Polar Prince. At that moment, the submersible was in the final stretch of its descent, approaching the seabed and the maximum design pressure. What followed were 5 days of global uncertainty, an unprecedented multinational search and rescue operation, and a dramatic lesson in engineering and applied physics that the world will never forget. One of the most dramatic and agonizing aspects of the days of searching was the detection of anomalous acoustic signals. Canadian Royal Air Force P-3 reconnaissance aircraft, equipped with high-sensitivity sonar buoys designed to detect enemy submarines, captured sounds described as rhythmic knocking that occurred at regular intervals of approximately 30 minutes. This information, quickly filtered to the media and confirmed by the United States Coast Guard, injected a powerful wave of optimism globally. In the jargon of underwater rescues, rhythmic knocks are usually interpreted as standardized distress signals from a trapped crew trying to communicate with the outside by systematically hitting the hull of their vessel. The narrative of survival against time, with the countdown of the oxygen supply inside the small carbon fiber compartment, kept millions of people in suspense. However, underwater acoustics experts warned from the beginning about the high risk of a false alarm. The deep ocean is an inherently noisy place. The Titanic wreck, with its thousands of tons of twisted metal, generates its own sounds due to powerful ocean currents, the gradual collapse of its upper decks, and biological activity. The sounds detected by sonar could have been anything, from the reverberation of the search vessels themselves to the echo of metallic fragments moved in the wreck zone. In the end, the signals turned out to be a cruel acoustic mirage, a deceptive distraction from the terrible reality that had already been consummated in the abyss. On June 22, 2023, the agonizing uncertainty came to an end. A state-of-the-art remotely operated vehicle, ROV, called Odysseus 6K, deployed from the Canadian ship Horizon Arctic, reached the seabed and began a meticulous tracking of the area near the Titanic. Thanks to its ultra-high-definition cameras and its capacity to operate at depths of up to 6,000 meters, the ROV made the definitive finding. About 500 meters from the bow of the Titanic, the robot detected a clear debris field. It was unmistakably modern, with white pieces and composite materials that contrasted sharply with the dark rust and ferric formations of the Titanic. Among the scattered and mutilated remains, those identified without a doubt included the tail cone of the submersible, a key piece that confirmed the disintegration, the landing frames, evidence of structural collapse, and the front and rear decks of the pressure hull, the largest pieces of the compartment that could not withstand the pressure. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. The arrangement and nature of these remains confirmed to researchers from the United States Coast Guard and naval experts that the Titan had suffered a catastrophic implosion of its pressure hull. The vessel had not run out of oxygen, nor was it trapped in the nets or structures of the Titanic. It had disintegrated violently due to the total collapse of its main structure in a fraction of a second. An implosion at 3,800 meters depth is an event of incomprehensible and instantaneous violence. Unlike an explosion where energy and gases expand from a center outward, the implosion is the result of external pressure, water, that suddenly overcomes the resistance of a container, collapsing it inward. In the case of the Titan, the design was a critical factor. Its pressure hull was constructed primarily of carbon fiber, reinforced with titanium caps. While carbon fiber is a cutting-edge material and extremely resistant to traction, its behavior under repeated cycles of compression and decompression at extreme pressures was, and remains, experimental and highly questioned by the traditional submarine industry. Experts suggest that a microcrack, an imperceptible delamination in the carbon fiber, or a failure at the junction between the carbon fiber and the titanium caps may have been the starting point of the failure. When the hull finally failed, the immense column of water above the submersible rushed inward at a speed close to 2,400 kilometers per hour, the speed of sound in water. In less than 30 milliseconds, a time shorter than a human blink, the air inside the submersible was adiabatically and violently compressed, reaching temperatures estimated to be similar to those of the surface of the sun for a brief instant before cold water flooded and pulverized all the space. The 5 occupants died in an absolute and instantaneous manner. The event was so fast that their nervous systems had no time to register pain or consciousness of the structural failure. It is an irony of tragic depth that the remains of the Titan ended up scattered so close to the bow of the Titanic. The Titanic sank in 1912 as a symbol of overconfidence in the engineering of its time, the unwavering belief that it was unsinkable. The Titan, 111 years later, seems to have fallen into a similar philosophical and technical trap. The belief that technological innovation could impudently skip the rigorous safety protocols and certifications established by decades of experience in the submarine industry. The debris field of the Titan is now a modern and unknown shipwreck for future explorers, a new scar in the geography of grief at the bottom of the Atlantic. While the Titanic is a monument to the age of steam and the end of a golden era of opulence, the Titan is a stark reminder of the dangers of extreme tourism, deregulation, and reckless arrogance in the face of the immutable laws of physics. Both wrecks are now united forever, not only by geographical proximity, but by being tragic reminders of human fallibility. The loss of the Titan and the exposure of OceanGate's failures, which operated outside the certification standards of the industry, has forever changed the rules of the game in the exploration of the depths. The scientific and deep-diving community, led by figures who have harshly criticized the experimental design and lack of certification of the submersible, now demands much stricter international regulations and rigorous oversight of any company offering trips to extreme depths. The Titanic wreck site, which is already a protected place under international treaties as a maritime cemetery, now has an additional zone of grief and forensic study. The signs of the new shipwreck did not reveal secret passageways of the Titanic, but rather manifested the imperative need for humility and respect before the abyss. The Atlantic Ocean is a democratic cemetery that does not distinguish between the luxury of a 1912 ocean liner and the exclusivity of a 2023 carbon fiber submersible. The punishment for defying its laws is the same for everyone. Today, the sepulchral silence has returned to the exclusion zone of the Titanic remains. The Titan debris field has been meticulously documented and largely recovered for ongoing official investigations. What remains at the bottom is the silenced echo of a tragedy that, according to the unanimous opinion of experts, could and should have been avoided. The submarine that discovered the signs of the unknown shipwreck found neither gold nor definitive answers about the Titanic's past, but the pulverized remains of a present that tried to defy the sea by its own rules. The tail cone, the white carbon fiber remains, and the metallic fragments of the Titan are now part of the eternal landscape of the abyss, resting 500 meters from the most famous bow in the world, united forever by the implacable and decisive pressure of 3,800 meters of salt water. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.